Glory awaits. Enter the arena.
Hello, everybody. Hold on one second. Looks like I have to play this right quick. Yeah.
Two-Fisted Tales of the Argonauts.
Thank you, everybody, for being patient with me while we figure stuff out here. I have to turn my lights on. All right, that's better. Yeah. Don't want to see my face normally, but poorly lit. It's even worse. Anyway, thank you all for coming to the third FMC arena. Seem to be doing pretty good so far. People do get backers from it. So let me bring on my guest for today, Mr. Ashley. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
No problem, my friend. No problem. Two-Fisted Argonauts. Two-Fisted Tales of the Argonauts is the current campaign.
Yep.
So, how's that going on?
I mean, it's going pretty good so far. It's basically it's just the way of continuing the universe in between. So, already issue number 1 of the Unbreakable Argonauts. I've already got that done. And that's one of the...
I had it in my head that I had it somewhere, and so I was looking through my library back there for like an hour yesterday before I realized all I had was the PDF. And so I was like, I know I have it somewhere. I know I read this comic, and then it's like you sent me a PDF, and I did so. Speaking of which, let me bring it up right quick. Let me show this off right quick. This is the all right. This is the Unbreakable Argonauts, the PDF file here, and look at this. It's incredible stuff here, man.
I hope you enjoyed it, by the way.
I did enjoy it. Enjoyed it immensely. This is a look at the art. This is the Crimson Eagle.
Yep.
I believe he's a featured character.
What's
that?
I was just going to say, so like in Two-Fisted Tales of the Argonauts, there's 2 main stories. He's one of them, and then the Raven's the other one.
Oh, right. Who's the guy with the Ankh again?
Phantasma.
Phantasma. Okay. All right. Yeah. This is kind of a good look at what kind of action you're talking about. You got your gorilla guy here. Every good team needs a gorilla guy.
Absolutely.
You got who's the soldier? He features pretty prominently.
That's Mandrake.
Mandrake, right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like all these characters. The idea I had in my mind was that they would all have some kind of an origin story that traces back to World War II. And part of that's just because I really love war comics, and so if you have all these characters who kind of cluster around World War II, you can, if you ever get bored like a conventional superhero story, you can just go back and do like a very old school World War II story instead.
So that golden era, wow, that's a good bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
You always have to have a good bad guy. Somebody pretty creepy. So all right. The lady in the purple, what's her name?
Dynamo.
Okay. All right. She's quite the looker. And I guess Raven's in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Raven's probably like, it's really easy to like look at Raven and say he's like Batman. He's really more like kind of like Doc Savage. He just happens to, his gear just looks a little bit more Batman-esque.
Right.
But I really wanted like, I feel like it's what I was really going for with the team was every character kind of has their own genre, and so if you want to do a solo story, everyone's solo story is going to look pretty distinct from each other.
Oh, that's pretty clever. That's a very good idea.
And the Ravens are like the pulpy, the spy character, and
right.
And then you've got like, it's like you've got one character who's science fiction, another one who's like adventure. Phantasmo obviously is like a little bit of horror in there and all that kind of stuff. And my plan going forward, which is hopefully something people are going to see in Two-Fisted Tales of the Argonauts, is that when they kind of break off into their own solo adventures, they are a little bit more different. And then moving forward, there's just going to be a lot more. Once I'm done with, hopefully I get issue 2 funded, but once I'm done with issue number 2, after that, it's going to be, the team's going to kind of, there's going to be more flux as to who's on the team in each issue. So issue 3, there might be 4 heroes, and then issue 4, there might be, 12 heroes or something like that. And it just goes up and down.
Yeah. One thing about that's like peculiar to like Golden Age comics is the optimism, and you definitely have that. That's I guess Golden Age comics. They still believed in heroism, still believed that good. Defeats evil, and I guess. I mean, everybody points to Watchmen as the canary in the coal mine as to when that changed with the whole negativity. But I think it was already in British comics before it came over to America. British came in like an infection. They call it the British invasion, but I call it metastasizing. Because you see that negative view of the future and heroism was kind of like naivete, considered kind of, you see how they kind of deconstructed their religious institutions way before America did, and so Cambridge started out as like a seminary, and now it's like the heart of darkness, basically. But that corruption of the ideal, the Judeo-Christian ethic, it was like an influx that came in. The Tex eras, of course, infamously the Alan Moores. Mark Millar, he'll try to, what happened to comics? You happened to comics, Mark. I mean, it drives me crazy that this dude makes the rounds and he's like, I can't believe what happened to comics. You freaking happened to comics, Mark. You and your boys. That's
I will
what
say
happened to comics.
I will say at least like in their defense, like people like Garth Ennis and Alan Moore, I think were honest about the fact they didn't really like superheroes.
Yeah.
But then you have the other people who,
Golden Age size?
Yeah. Nope. So it's going to be issue number 1 is the regular series is American comic size.
Okay.
The Two-Fisted Tales of the Argonauts I'm going to publish in. I'm still a little bit so some of the stories are sort of they're in the European format. I'll either publish them in the European format or in magazine format. So I'll either
kind of a zine, Are you talking about like the French version, like the bigger digests?
I don't know if you've ever like.
I think they're called Bande Desame kind of size, or.
It's like if you've ever collected 2000 AD. It's basically it's the height of an American comic. It's just a little bit wider.
Oh, gotcha.
But I probably will. I do really like the idea of having like a regular comic series and then a magazine. I just think that something about that really works well.
Gotcha.
But also there's just so much more you can put in a magazine that really fits that those dimensions. Like preview pages and interviews and prose stories and that kind of thing. I think it just, if you've got a magazine, you've got more space.
Oh yeah, that definitely. Yeah, the Bombay Decimate, like the whole entire concept of it is basically you work on something till it's perfect, and then you release it. And so some of their like most famous comics, it might be a decade between them, or you know. I mean that. There's something to be said for that. I mean, you're making art or whatever, but it also gives the thing that you put out like time to breathe. I think a lot of times when we compress things like on top of each other, because people have the attention spans of fruit flies, and so they need the next chapter now. It's kind of like the whole Netflix model. But there's something to be said for taking your time, perfecting something and then putting out when it's ready.
I feel exactly that way about scripts as well. I mean, I've got issue 2 of the Unbreakable Argonauts. I must have gone through like 6 or 7 drafts at this point, because when I originally was going to kind of use issue 2 as a launching pad for a bunch of other characters. I went back and I was like, it's just too much to throw at people at one time, and cut it down to be a little bit more simpler and direct. And I think that's there's definitely something to be said for giving your scripts time to breathe, even just in your own mind. Right.
I've found that if I walk away from something, instead of just blurting it all out at one time, if I walk away from it and come back to it, there's like most good writers. Okay, now let me make a differentiation. They will come up on, see a hole in the plot, or realize that they've kind of painted themselves a little bit into a corner, and they'll walk away from it long enough to find the solution to the mess that they've made themselves into, or created for themselves. What early on when I was working on my script, I was encountering the issue of the first comic is always going to have, and that is, you got to, not only do you have to make a comic that's readable and enjoyable and has a storyline of beginning, middle, and end, but you've got to somehow launch the whole entire freaking universe.
Yeah.
And the solution came to me is like, man, I just wish that some way I could like just put myself in this and like, okay, pause. Okay, this is the world you're in, and now go. And just kind of like get it out of the way at the start. And so the solution came to me is like, well, why not do that, right? Why not break the fourth wall, have a character to do that? And so I came up with Mr. MacGuffin. And if you're a writer, you know the hidden joke there. But I was like, give ideas a time to breathe, right? But everybody read my script. Was like, this is a great idea. And the reason it came to me was because I walked away, let it kind of percolate, and said, okay, this is the problem I need to deal with, or this is the issue. And just, I didn't give myself like any pressure to come up with a solution. And the solution came to me as elegant. And so I definitely agree with the idea of, working something over until your editor says,
yeah. And I think one of the benefits that I have is because I'm so really attached to like the sort of specifically to the Golden Age. I think you can do that in a way where like the setting and the genre kind of become a character in their own sense.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And people are kind of as much here for the world around the characters as they are the characters themselves.
Right.
And
Nazis remain a great villain.
Yeah.
They're just a great villain,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like epitome of evil, and like no one has any guilt if you
They
blow up
had
a Nazi
skulls on their
submarine or something. Yeah,
uniforms. They had
Yeah.
literal skulls on their uniforms. I mean, my favorite skit of all time. Wait a second, are we the baddies? Yeah.
yeah.
You got skull. We've got skulls on her.
It's like for my series, it's actually kind of funny because
Mm,
I had it in my head. I was like the Nazis like kind of I'm going to have some Nazi villains, but they're kind of cliche, and so and this is set in the Cold War, so it only makes sense that the bad guys would mostly be Soviets.
right.
And then like the very first thing I do is I go and I do a short story, and I'm like straight back to the Nazis.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it just kind of dovetailed, like conveniently, we had the Nazis dovetailed directly into the Soviet Union,
Mhm.
and then I think one of the biggest issues that we've had is that we didn't have the big bad anymore, so they create we had this terrorist threat, but the problem was that we didn't have except for Bin Laden, we didn't really have a big bad to go after. And so it should have been China. We really should have gone after China, but we're so in bed with them at this point. But China's like the big bad, and the fact that we've kind of like played ball with them so long is like they want us gone. They want to destroy our entire culture. I mean, the South America stuff alone should be cause for alarm. I mean, we went all the way to Vietnam and tried to roll all this stuff back in Korea, just so they wouldn't get a foothold.
Mhm.
But yet now these days we're just letting them take over South America right at their back door, and not even seem to sign it, like sounding the alarms. But you were talking about what you thought about the British invasion and the negativity that crept into comics. I'm sorry I cut you off earlier.
Oh no, I was just set like I feel like that era would have gone down a lot better if they'd done other genres because and it's kind of funny because as soon as they were all done with like Marvel and DC, I think pretty much every single one of them just went off and did something completely different from superheroes, and they all seemed happier doing it. Like Mark Millar does his like Netflix stuff where it's
right
virtually nothing to do with superheroes. Garth Ennis does war stories. Alan Moore went off and did like adventure books for a while, and it is kind of like a funny how different comics could have been from the 1980s if that was how they started, and if they just started out doing stuff they love. Like one of my favorite series is Alan Moore's Tom Strong, which is like the complete opposite of Watchmen in terms of like the tone and the vibe of it, and
right.
you can just tell you just love doing it, and there's just so much. You just have a much better time reading things where the writer was having a good time, and hopefully that's how people feel when they read my stuff as well.
Well, I mean, the issue with Watchmen is it was basically created out of a distaste for Steve Ditko. I mean, he has admitted as much. He tried to use the Charlton comic or characters that Ditko created, and when he couldn't get control of them, he just made his own Ditko characters, basically, including Rorschach, which he regrets to this day, which I think is hilarious. But the thing about it is he wanted to thumb his nose at the moral relativism that Steve Ditko was big on. Black and white. There's real, there's right, there's wrong. And he wanted to show how incompatible to society that is by creating this character that sticks out like a sore thumb. Has no home, has no friends, has nothing but the warmth of his righteousness to keep him warm. And yet when people revisit Watchmen, they always resonate with Rorschach more than any of the characters, But I mean, it's like at the end of the day when you start out with like an aim to like denigrate something or downplay something, or oh, I'm a feminist, so I want to destroy all male characters, destroy the patriarchy, whatever the heck that is. I can't even tell you what that is, but then they're going to destroy it, one way or another, and burn everything down because they can't figure out what patriarchy is. So they'll just burn anything male down, and try to place females in its place, and it just hasn't worked. I mean, you see from like in game into the MCU, which is when they try to make everything female centric, or you see how Kathleen Kennedy did with Star Wars and tried to just slant everything female. The Force is female, famously, and but it's like when you like aim to like destroy something or deconstruct it. That's big. That's a big thing they like to do, and that comes from French, impressionism or whatever. But the thing that it's like when you deconstruct stuff, you got to build it back, and it's like they're so lazy. It's like, oh, well, we deconstructed everything. Well, it's all in pieces in the yard. Well, I'm bored now, so I'm just going to leave it that way. Yeah. And then wonder why they're getting rained on when the storm comes in. Well, you took the roof apart. You you don't have any walls anymore. You deconstructed the house. It's like a pile of lumber in the yard, and then you're like, okay, well, you got to build it back now. It's like, I don't know how to build it back. That, I just needed to tear it down. I don't know how to build it back. And so that's the problem the mainstream has now, is they've torn so much down without any plan to ever build it back. And so now they're sitting here and they're like, okay, we can't create a movie that resonates with people. We can't create a television show or a streaming show that people want to watch. And it's like, well, what do we do now? Well, we've shoved our writers' rooms full of people who can only tear things down and don't know how to build anything, because they were hired basically for arbitrary characteristics. They weren't hired for talent. They weren't hired for training. Mm-hmm. And so now they're trying to like build the plane while it's in flight and try to get it done before it lands, and they're just crashing everywhere. And so I see something like what you've got. You've got a fine-tuned universe. You have a very definitive point of view. You know what you're trying to accomplish here, and you just tell the story. Yeah. And you let the characters be the characters, And in a lot of ways, because they didn't create these characters in the mainstream, they think they can basically do self-inserts or make this character into whatever they want it to be. And they don't understand that there's such a thing as canon. There's such a thing as when these characters are so real to all of us that when you take it for a drive and use it for a sock puppet, we know what you're doing. We know that's not. It's like the latest Odysseus in this Odyssey movie that just came out. Everybody who's ever read the Iliad and the Odyssey, everybody who's ever seen an adaptation of Odysseus knows what Odysseus is. Knows his personality. It's wily, sneaky, but at the same time, honorable man, and they just completely, totally carved the heart out of him. And then it's like, well, this is Odysseus, and everybody's like, no, that's not Odysseus, And so, but they're like, well, shut up, bigot,
I saw someone say that it was. I saw someone say that the new one was like the like the Vietnam War movie of Greek mythology,
Yeah,
where he's
exactly.
like, yeah,
That's I haven't heard that before. That is exactly what it is. Hey, what's up, Marcus?
hey Marcus,
But that's exactly what it is. It's like war trauma. Everybody's suffering trauma, you know, and then we do these awful, horrible things, and now we have to carry it around with us, you know. Maybe that's what Christopher Nolan is trying to do, because he wants to make his own platoon or his own Full Metal Jacket or something. And it's like, oh, let's take this foundational document and all Western culture and make it whatever I want to make of it. And yeah, it's making money in the short term, but you guys have something in common. Oh, okay. Well, I don't quite know what that is, but all right. Marcus has done work for me. Has he done work for you? So what he's talking about?
Yeah, he's done a cover for me, and hopefully I'm going to do some interior pages with him at some point. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's probably what he's talking about. He tends to be a little bit vague sometimes. That's Marcus, though. But if you want to know who drew this comic book, this obscure comic book, like 5 generations back, and it's like, oh, it's this guy, you know, and he did this penciling, and he did this, like, he's got encyclopedic knowledge of who the artist is, but, you know, it's pretty crazy. One of my favorite people, but I love working Marcus. Anyway, but one of the things that that setting your stuff in the golden age, setting your stuff in like the Kirby kind of era, where there was that optimism, but there was also that kind of like I'm gonna say action oriented idea of what a comic should be. When I went through your Argonauts comic, there's like action about every other page, or very little dialogue is going on unless they're ducking from bullets, and then they have if they have a dialogue, it's like yeah, okay, we're being shot at, you know. It's like is that like a determination that you made that you wanted to just
there's
action?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it's called. There's a storytelling method. It's called like microplotting or something. But the gist of it is like every scene should kind of be a story, like a 3-act story in its own right.
Right.
And so every scene has a beginning, middle, and end. And
so you're like building a bigger story on micro stories, right? Kind of like building blocks.
Yeah, and like there's always like something going on. There's never like just, you know, maybe we'll have like a page or two where people are just to drive the story forward and give you the exposition you need. People are talking, but it's really always just like a bridge to get from conflict to conflict to conflict. Because, like, you know, I read some of the new comics from Marvel. I think more than DC does this, where they'll have like whole issues that are basically just conversation, and I just can't ever imagine doing that to a comic book and to readers. And
what no dinner scene where they're just like noshing over food and discussing their feelings? Come on now. That's
like,
what we live for, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're writing like a crime comic or something, you can't just have people like hanging around talking and just doing. You got to have like some fist fights and shoot ups and that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, they're trying to like these slice of life stuff where there's all these like auxiliary characters like wandering in and dropping lines or you know, it's like comics should be like a fine-tuned instrument. There should be no fat on it, you know.
And I think part of it is just like the big two don't really explore other genres that much.
No,
they try and like if they want to do a drama, they're like, we're going to do a superhero drama, like a horror. It has to be a superhero horror. They can't just do these things on their own.
Well, I mean, and so you get once upon a time, it was like the ECU you know, the horror comics. You had the romance comics. You had the war comics. You had all these different genres that people could operate in, and then it all at some point became consolidated down to just heroic, you know, or superheroes, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's like the main problem that the big two have is every time they get a new writer, and that writer's probably thinking in the back of their minds that like, I would really love to be writing a like a Western or a comedy comic or like an Archie comic or something like that. But here I am doing X-Men, and so I'm gonna write X-Men like I'm doing an Archie comic, and yeah, I think that's a big problem. I think it really drives away people who just aren't really showing up for that.
Yeah. Let's have our characters stop and do this screed against a pseudo Trump, or something like that. Whatever my political axe to grind is. So this is your feature character, Mr. Crimson Eagle. Pretty
I like
cool.
I do like how the AI just like keeps insisting that he's Iron Man just because of the color scheme.
Yeah. I had that issue. This is as close as I could get. It kept doing its best to make him Iron Man. It actually wouldn't let me animate this photo because it said it's copywritten material, and I'm like, it's not copywritten material. That's not Iron Man. but
what's crazy too is I didn't even. It wasn't until like 6 months after I had the color drawn out that I actually even noticed that it had a similar color scheme to Iron Man. And then I was like looking at it, and I was like, oh my god.
Right. Yeah.
It's so easy for designs that you're familiar with to just get into the back of your mind. And
well, I mean, gold and red look really good. I mean, that's the reason why they chose those colors, Yeah, I have an armored guy. It's not armor. It's kind of like made of metal. And then Global Man. And I tried different colors, and now wound up making him gold. It just it's just a good color for armor. It's just whatever. But I really I kind of like what you're doing with this intermediate step, giving people something to like look at while you're working on issue 2. You seem to have a very consistent art team. Are you the actual artist?
No, so the main artist that I work with is Daniel Max. He did the interiors for issue 1 as well as the Red Claw story, which is the if you go on to the Find My Comic page, it's the one with the magazine dimension page. That's the Red Claw story.
Right.
And then the other one is I work with Rich Parada, who did the Crimson Eagle stuff, and hopefully he's gonna keep working with me on more Crimson Eagle stuff because he's a really good artist, and especially on that character, I think he just draws him really well.
Yeah, you have like really good lettering too.
It
seems like you've made that a focus. But one thing I like about your lettering is that your lettering is like distance appropriate. Sometimes the lettering will be big or be like bigger than the image or something or whatever, because the dialogue is like the main priority. But if you have like a guy at a distance, you will have the lettering be appropriate to the size or the distance of the guy. And even if you can't quite understand what he's saying, you're like acknowledging that he's too far away to be able to hear, and so you'll have like that adds to the verisimilitude. That's what I really like it when people pay attention to things like that.
Yeah, I think I actually got really, like, for a first-time comic, I do think I got really lucky because I'll see, not to like put anyone else down, but sometimes I'll see first-time campaigns and you just like, you look at the colors, the lettering, you're just like, oh. But you don't want to like message them and say like, you need to get better letters. But I did get very lucky in that. I think everyone, the team that I'd assembled when I was ready to start, I was very happy with, and everyone felt very professional and like met deadlines and communicated very well, and that was, I think, one of the big helps for issue number 1.
Cool. Are you part of the Crisis on Independent Earths? Is that something the Crisis on Independent Earths, that this big project that seems to be?
I probably will be. It's kind of 50-50 for me at the moment. I was talking to John. And he said he was like, it's not like it has to be done within a month or anything like that. So
right,
there should be time to get around to it.
Yeah, he's asked me to give him an entry, and fortunately, I have this guy who's like a interdimensional being who pays attention to the multiverse, and so it's like, my Mr. MacGuffin, and he's kind of like a great way into the story. So he's become very useful in a lot of ways. Weird thing is after I created him and after I put him in the book, the more I wrote him, the more he became his own guy, and he's like evolved deeper, like a deeper way into my book than I ever anticipated. It's like the more after I inserted him in, it was just basically going to be like this fourth wall breaking individual.
Yeah.
And kind of like they've done in the past, like Deadpool's done in the past or something like that. But then it's like the more involved he's gotten, the more interwoven with the book he's become. And it's kind of like every once in a while you will just create this character, and they will just get away from you, and they're their own thing, and it's kind of like
it's funny you say that. Actually, I made a character called Luke Bradley, who's like he's basically I don't know if you're a big like private detective fan, but he's basically my like Philip Marlowe, just like a hard-boiled detective type character.
Yeah, I have one like that.
Yeah, and originally he was just going to be like the straight man to like the silly detective. And like since I've been writing it, I keep finding ways to put him in every story, and because he's just like a down to earth like tough guy. Right. It's so easy to do that when you've got a character like that, because they do just kind of fit in everywhere.
Well, I had this discussion this morning, on Nerd Bacon. Luke had an agenda. He was just ranting at writers this morning, and he's talking about knowing the constituent elements of a story, and I tried to bring up the fact that you need your you need your character that you can hang everything on. You need the character that either people root for, or people look up to, or people feel like they are. To bring people into a book, they either gotta root for your character, want to be like your character, or feel like they are your character. And that's the secret to having any work of art, work of fiction that's got a resonance with people. If you got a character that people either like, root for, or feel like, then you got a way for people to get into your art. People get into your story. So one interesting thing that I thought was interesting was your Mandrake character, your black kind of soldier character. He seems featured prominently in a lot of your images. Is he going to have his own solo book at some point?
Yeah, so the background story that I have for him in the universe is he was the leader of like this supernatural special ops team of monsters. Sort of like the Suicide Squad, but not really. It's like the Suicide Squad for cryptids.
Okay.
That kind of thing. And so like at some point I'd love to do some stories of him, just back in World War II doing that. There's actually on one of the pages there's a very brief, in issue number 1 there's like a very brief flashback where you see him at war with the monsters. So if you pick up issue 1, hopefully that flashback gets you wanting a little bit more.
Is it how did you wind up in charge of monsters? Is that kind of like a Tuskegee Airman kind of thing, where they were allowed to participate, but they were given the crappiest jobs. Kind of
You're onto it a little bit. It's like it's something I'm still working on in the backstory, but yeah, you're onto it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, the red tails are an interesting topic. I've done some research on.
Yeah.
You know, they gave them like the hardest jobs, and they wound up being the best, bomber escort group in the whole entire war. And it was just like, okay, well, you got to get these people to this impossible situation, and you can't lose any of them, or we'll disband you, for failure. But we're going to set you up to fail. But if you fail, we're going to disband you, and
in this universe, it's like, in this universe, it's like, listen, like, no one really likes working with the monsters, so
right.
It's that kind of thing, yeah.
I got you. I guess. Yeah, I imagine Sasquatch would be a heck of a heavy you'd probably be a nice shock troop, Weird things we do, cryptids and conspiracies, and most of the most violent, like Bigfoot stories, are from the Yeti, not from the Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every time there's a Yeti involved, there's a body count, but every time there's a Sasquatch involved, there's not much of a body count,
Yeah.
And so it's like, is this one like the crazy psychotic one, and this one's like the Saint Bernard? So it's weird. It's like an anomaly that we noticed in cryptids and conspiracies. So we're talking about Yetis. It's like, go ahead.
It's a similar thing like the Loch Ness Monster, isn't it? Where like, I don't think there is a body count attached to Loch Ness Monster, but
no,
every other sea monster does have one.
Right. Nessie just hangs out. It doesn't seem to have any kind of aggression. Chupacabra seem to have a lot of like blood trail there. They seem to be very aggressive.
I feel like they're like the hyenas or like the jackals of the cryptid world.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that was what we came up with too. But I mean, when you delve into the cryptid world, there's so many like fascinating, like the dog men, or things like that. We had this big hullabaloo over the skinwalkers. What exactly is a skinwalker? And I was like, well, that kind of fits the MO. I mean, who knows what a skinwalker is, right? But I mean, the idea that you can make a like a cryptid like fighting force is very, very cool. Do you have a Thunderbird in the cryptid fighting force you got?
No.
Okay.
It's probably it's something. One of the things that I am exploring in this, and is actually in the Rick Law story, is like weaponized monsters. So there's like
right.
Like anyone who's like interested in World War II, there's like the occult race going on where like Hitler wants to get all these occult relics and things.
Oh yeah, right.
And one of the things that I want to do in the story is like there's also like a monsters arms race where both sides are trying like build up their cryptid armies and that kind of thing. And this is and the Red Claw story is like it's a sabotage of the Nazis trying to get one of the cryptids.
Right. Got you. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a really cool story. I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. Did the gorillas in your the Argonaut story, did they have anything to do with that?
Not to do with it's like their origin story is they were like on their way to the World's Fair. And along the way, they're in a crate on the back of a truck, and the crate falls off the truck. The driver doesn't know because he's like a drunk driver. And these like young gorillas break out their boxes, and they go down. They find a swamp, and the military plane has crashed in the swamp. And there's like ooze like dripping all through the swamp. They drink out of the swamp, and then gradually they start growing beyond their regular size, and they develop really intelligent brains and that's the origin story for them.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I mean, that's the cool thing about talking to somebody about their universes. Everybody has an origin story. If you build your universe out, everybody's got an origin story. Everybody's got like their own thing, and it's all part of storytelling. What's up, Mr. Good Stuff? Good to see you, man. By the way, all the stuff we're doing today, everything you see, including the gift right there, that's Mr. Good Stuff. We've been working with him on the opening crawl and everything. So all hail Mr. Good Stuff. He's a genius on this stuff. Well, one of the one really cool thing that I enjoy about people that have thoughtful world building is they have answers for things. I mean, like I've had people in the past that I've talked to, and I'll ask them a question about their world, and it's like, oh, so when is this like set? And it's like, oh, what's different about your world than any other world? It's like, oh, it's not really, it's the same world. And it's like, it's like, why would you have like a world that's like the same as their own when you can do stuff with it? You know?
I've come across a few comics where it's like I feel like it feels like the person's making a comic just for the sake of making a comic. It's like,
right.
I want to do my Marvel, and it's like, what's different from your universe from Marvel? And they're like, nothing.
Yeah.
No.
It's clearly 616 that they're trying to like do their own Marvel comic, or something like that. Yeah. Right. But it defeats the purpose, though. I mean, why have your own world? Why not have your own world?
Yeah.
Just like in my world, I have a federal organization that's over the powered people. It's called the FERA. I have the badges. I have the seal. I have the color of the uniforms. I have everything planned out. It's like, if there's powered people in our world, the United States government would find a way to make a federal agency to be over them. But they had to get rid of my main character to do so because he was written into the Bill of Rights as this person, as long as he's alive, he will be over powered people. And since he's fractionally immortal, they had to get rid of him to make his federal organization. And so, as any federal organization, they're going to have abuses, and they're going to basically lord over the people who they're under their jurisdiction. And so that's part of my world. And so, but if you do world building, you're basically visiting another world every time you write it. And where the furniture is, all the cool features, and part of the enjoyment of independent comics is when somebody builds a different world, I can visit a different world. Why would I? If I want to visit Marvel Comics, I'll go to Marvel Comics. If I want to visit the DC Universe, I'll go to the DC Universe. Yeah. So why in the world would you not want to make your own backstory, make your own history line? Yeah. And it's really kind of like lazy. I mean, I had a Bible for my world. That's the first thing I did. So I made a Bible for it. The rules, how things interact, how, kind of a rough historical timeline. Michael Bancroft of Lucent said that his world didn't really come into focus until he wrote a history.
Yeah.
And so, you're not only, when you have your own world, you have to understand what happened before, what's happening now, and maybe project what's going to happen in the future. And that's a lot of work. But the more specificity that you come up with, the more rich and interesting your world is going to be. And the world of the Argonauts is very, very specific. If I ask you any questions like, what role did Hitler play in your world? You'll have a different answer. So, what role did Hitler play in your world?
Hitler played in this world. It's I actually don't want to give too much away because it's a storyline planned down the way. I do have a premise where Hitler's. I was going to say an idea where Hitler's in communication with aliens. I'm still trying to.
Oh, okay.
I know where I want to go. It sounds good. I know where I want to go with it. I'm just trying to figure out how to put it into a story.
Well, in my world, I have like a guy called the progenitor, and he jumps from person to person to person, but he's never like in the seat of power, but he's always like one step removed, and he'll take over someone's mind, and then he'll manipulate history through that, and so you'll see him like a Genghis Khan's closest advisor, or he'll show up, Hitler in Hitler's retinue or something like that. Yeah. And so he's kind of like trying to shape history to his own devices or whatever. And because of that, you don't have like one person you can aim at or one entity. There's a group that shows up from time to time that they have a symbol called that's the eclipse. And so, and every once in a while, you'll see somebody they're blotting out the sun, and things like that. But that's like running through my world. It's in the background. It's like part of. But see, that's the fun thing about it is when you build that world out. Then if somebody's like, question about your world, and it's like, okay. I got this. I can fill this question, and that when I look for a comic universe like a Perfect 10 from Dave Brink, it's so distinctive. It's such a distinctive universe, and anytime I visit, it's always a great time. Plus, Perfect 10 is one of the best drawn female characters in comics right now. He knows how to draw her. Evidently, we've got somebody who wanted to drop a verse right there. So there you go. Anyway, but you never know sometimes. I mean, you never know what's going to show up in your chat. But anyway, so also if you got a world built out, then that means that the amount of stories you can tell are endless.
Yeah.
I've seen so many guys that don't build their world out, and they're like, I'm running out. I don't know where this is going to go, or I don't have enough material, or something like that. And I'm like, well, then you didn't do it right.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised how much I'll talk to people, and they wrote like one story 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they just never went back to it. And it's like you have like months, sometimes years in between doing comics.
Right.
Like you should be coming up with ideas all the time. It's just, even if just as a hobby, it's just so much fun.
Well, I wrote this this book. It was supposed to be like a book series of like decades ago. Set into this one city called Northport, and this city is like very distinctive. It's very unique. It had like lots of little things going on, and but suddenly one day I was thinking, okay, well, as soon as I start finding a good place on this one, then I'll come back to that one, and do something with it. But then it suddenly occurred to me, why can't that city be set in this world? And then suddenly it's like, wow.
That's actually pretty much how my universe came together. Was I had a few different ideas, and like I said earlier, a lot of the characters represent a different genre, and so I had all these different ideas that were, like this is like my war story, this is my horror story, and realized that there was like enough in common with them, but also that they all kind of been inspired like by the same era of comics that they could actually work together, and they put them on a team, and it turns out they do work very well together.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, why in the world wouldn't you? If you know, I sometimes I feel like I think Stephen King called it unearthing the artifact or unearthing the skeleton. If you're like doing, it's more like archaeology. You're digging something out of the ground, and and so there's so many times where I'll dig what I think is maybe a small animal, and then I realize that I got brontosaurus bones here. I've got something massive.
Yeah.
And you know, this is going to take a lot of work, and at that time you have to ask yourself, how much are you going to be committed to this? Because you went to hook a bass for dinner, and then you wound up grabbing a marlin, and it's trying to pull you into the water, and you're like, whoa, this is way bigger than what I thought it was going to be, and that's the wonders of being a writer, is the discovering.
Yeah. And I mean, it can be like a curse as much as a blessing, because you can have like all this stuff planned out for one specific story, right. And then you go like, there's so much potential here. I have to do something else.
Yeah, the bunny pops up, and you're like, no, I cannot chase you. And it's like, yeah, but look at my fluffy little tail. And it's like, I can't chase you. I got to get this done over here. And then the bunny's like, yes, but you want to chase me, don't you? It's like, it's okay.
But also,
all right, I'll just write a paragraph or two so I can figure it out, But,
I'll have these funny moments where I'll like have a story for a side character, and I'll be like, this is like so good. But then I don't know how to say that to people without making it sound like I don't care about my comic anymore. I want to do this comic now.
Right.
Because it's just so easy because for you, it's like the novelty of you've got this new story and you're really excited about it. And you put it out there and you're like, this is better than anything I've ever done before. You're going to love it. And then you have to come back. You have to come back to the other one after you've said like, no, this is better.
You're right. Well, if you set it all in the same universe, then you don't have to. Yeah. It's like, well, it's just yet another story. It's set, and that's just a trick that I think a lot of people miss because out of just sheer laziness or, make it like you said, making a comic for the sake of making a comic. There's no world building there. There's no, I wanted to do a Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll call this guy, Black Man or something. I don't know, or Marmoset Man or whatever. And
he's fighting a killer clown, but he's not.
There
Joker.
You go. There he's fighting a killer clown, and it's like, yeah, okay, then it's like that's Batman. That's basically Batman. But then you got people like Mike Barron who will do somebody like the Badger, and it's like, oh, well, Badger ain't like anybody,
Mm-hmm.
But or Deadpool and when Rob Liefeld went to make his own Deathstroke to Terminator, it wound up being Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
And no, there's no like thing in common that they even have anymore. And maybe roughly the uniform looks similar, but it's when you get inspired by something and you go with it, like Rorschach. I mean, Rorschach is supposed to be a Ditko character, and yet Ditko never did anything like Rorschach because Rorschach became Rorschach. And so when if you allow yourself to basically evolve, then there's no amount of things you can't be inspired by. There's no limitations on the kind of stories you can tell.
Yeah.
And world building is so vitally important to the health and the future and the depth and the richness of the stories you're going to tell. And so you got it down. You get the world of the Argonauts is so distinctive, and I just want to give you all props for that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
No problem. It's in the Okay. Could you drop me a link? I got it in the description, but I forgot to. Let me go ahead and let me go ahead and post this link. We'll make sure.
I'll just drop it here in the private chat.
All righty. There you go. Well, whoops. Looks like he accidentally. All right. There you go. Hold on. They should be right back.
Whenever I hit the enter button, it disconnects me.
Yeah, I figured that much. I figured that's what happened. Anyway, they are in the chat right now. That campaign is live. This is not book 2. This is like Feathering Tales. It's like if you want to stay in the universe a little while longer, plus you can get the original, the first Argonauts. Anyway, you can get the first Argonauts story is available, and I highly recommend it. I plan on getting a physical copy myself. Turns out I only had the PDF. So I know because I looked through my whole entire collection the other day, and it's like I know I've got it somewhere. So
if you
want a physical copy,
if you actually get what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the physical copy, and then in the magazine, I'm actually going to reprint Unbreakable Argonauts into Unbreakable Argonauts #1 into like big magazine dimensions. So that's going to be included in that. So you don't have to get both. You can just get, if you want Unbreakable Argonauts #1 plus all the backs, all the side stories, you just get the magazine. Everything comes with it.
Oh, okay. Well, good tip. Good tip. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. Anyway, so this is been Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics on behalf of Fund My Comic. This has been the FMC Arena. If you do have a campaign currently on Fund My Comic, and you would like to come on the show, just let me know. We're actually doing a special show this Tuesday because I kind of this person needed. They're about to close their campaign out, and so I wanted to make sure I get them in. Let me see. Let me make sure I get the name of it right. This is the Skylights, Keith Morange. So that's going to be next Tuesday, and after that, I'm gonna next Thursday, John Longbox, the Christmas, his Christmas special with King Fu and a patriarch story. We'll do that next Thursday. So if I have to double up, if I have to do a special show, I'm committed to this thing. Anyway, so. Go and browse for my comic. There's so many cool things going on right now, and we will see you next Tuesday. Do you have any places? Is there anything you want to promote while you're here?
Yeah, you can find me over on Substack. If you type in Unbreakable Argonauts or Argonauts Comics, you can probably find me pretty much on any platform.
Right.
So yeah, you can just go look for me there, and definitely go by and pick up Two-Fisted Tales of the Argonauts.
Well, Marcus wants you to know that he gets around. He evidently works for John's Longbox too. So there you go. Anyway, makes you a whore, Marcus. You're very easy. Just anybody throw money at you, Marcus is your guy. So there you go.
He's a great artist.
There you go. There you go. He's in demand. He's in demand. Well, anyway, so that's been Cooper for on behalf of FMC. Check out Fun My Comic. Doing Skylights next Tuesday. Doing John's Longbox Thursday after that. The Christmas special. And like I said, if you have a campaign that's going live, is currently on FMC or is leaving FMC, hit me up and we'll find a way to fit you in. But that's been Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Follow White Rabbit. and we'll see you next time.